Your profile on social media could be secretly ruining your growth without you even realizing. And so today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to fix that by crafting a winning social media profile that you can use across all the platforms. Now, to most people, the setup and optimization of their profile is a bit of an afterthought that they slap together so that they can start creating content. And fair enough, I get it, it's not that exciting. However, it's vitally important. You see, if you work your butt off creating content and in the first month you get 1,000 profile visitors and you haven't set up your profile very well, and so let's say 5% of them convert into followers and 1% of those followers turn into leads, you have now gained 50 new followers and you're halfway to your first lead. On the other hand, if you spend 30 minutes to set up your profile correctly and you have it well optimized, it's realistic that you could convert anywhere from 15 to 30% of those viewers into new followers, but we'll be conservative and say 20%. Now, if you do the same amount of work creating content and trying to grow your audience to generate the same 1,000 profile visitors, but this time you're converting 20% of them into new followers and 2% of those followers into leads, you have now gained 200 followers and 4 new leads, which is 4 times the follower growth and 8 times as many leads as the previous example, doing the exact same amount of work just by optimizing your profile. It's the same idea that if you've got a sinking boat, you don't need to scoop out the water faster, you need to plug the holes to stop it getting worse. I assume that's what you do with a boat. I don't know much about boats, but I know a lot about social media growth, and so let's dive into the video. Firstly, we've got your profile picture. This one's pretty straightforward. If you're a personal brand, you just want to have a good headshot of yourself where your face is clearly visible. Ideally, you want good lighting and taken with a professional camera, but there's a lot of tricks you can do with AI where you can get a pretty good looking photo even if you're just using your phone. A lot of people like to add a bit of color behind them for their profile photo. You totally can. I wouldn't say you have to, but it's a nice touch. Now, if you're a business or a brand, then you want to use your logo. And that might sound obvious, but there is a bit of a catch to this one. A lot of logos simply aren't designed for social media. They're designed to be the letterhead on a document, or they're designed to go on a billboard or on a website, and they weren't made for social media. And so what can happen is if you have a really wide logo, you either have to zoom it out so far so that people can see the whole thing fit in there, or you zoom in and you miss half the logo, but it's not designed to be like that, and so it just looks off. So what you want to do is, if you can crop it and it still looks good, do that. And if not, go back to your designer and ask them if they can create a social media version of your logo. As much as that might cost you a little bit, as social media becomes more and more and more important over the years, you're definitely going to want to need one. Second, we've got your username. Now this one's pretty straightforward again. It should be your brand name, your business name, or your name. But what you want to avoid is too many dots, underscores, or filler words such as _Ryan, as it just comes across messy and unprofessional. I realize with billions of social media profiles out there nowadays, it can be tricky to get your name exactly. And so you might want to play around with things until you find something that looks good and try and have it consistent across the platforms. As a rule of thumb, I like to say you get 1 dot, underscore, or filler word in your username, and that's it. From there, you have to be creative. So in the previous example, the Josh Ryan works fine. Josh.Ryan works fine. But the _Josh.Ryan, no go. Third, we've got your bio. Now this is often the spot where people can make the biggest improvement on their profile. Your bio should open with something that grabs the attention of your target audience and it directly speaks to them. Then you want to follow this up with some sort of social proof or credibility of why people should trust you. And then you want to follow this up with a call to action. And you might slightly play with that depending on your industry or type of business, but a lot of people like to structure it like this. They say, I help X achieve X. And then that's them speaking to their target audience. And then they follow it up with, I've worked with X amount of clients, which is their social proof or credibility. And then they might have book a free discovery call today. And yes, that can work, but it does get a little bit repetitive. So I would look at ways that you can sort of take the same sentiment or the same idea, just be a little bit more creative. So instead, it could look like this. We create ads that get you clients, spent $3.7 million on ads to generate $15 million in revenue, get 30 leads in 30 days or your money back. That's obviously an example for a ad agency that you could run with. It still follows that same structure, but it's not the same repetitive sort of block that everyone uses. Now you can also adapt this to e-commerce, local businesses. It doesn't just have to be service-based. You can talk about the product that you create and who you create it for, or the pain point that your product solves. Then under that, you could talk about how many reviews you've had, how many customers you've had, how many countries your product is stocked in, and then you could have a link or a call to action for people to purchase. Speaking of, the fourth part is we're going to have your link in bio. Now, the mistake people make here is they have too many links that are low value and pointless, which are then distracting people from the stuff that is actually important. I have genuinely gone in to speak with a potential client and they had over 100 links in their bio through a link tree. That is just going to overload people with way too many options that they end up doing nothing. And this specific brand sold a ton of different products. And so they essentially had it set up like that so that if someone saw a post about a product, they could say link in bio, and then people could technically go to the link in their bio, find a link to that specific product, and then purchase it. But if someone sees a post and they have to scroll through 40 links to find it, they're not going to find it, they're going to exit off, and they're going to get on with their day. On the other hand, if you have 3 or 4 or maybe 5 of your most important, your most valuable links in your bio, it'll be concise and people will be able to find what they're looking for. Even if there's not a direct link to a specific product, they can click on your website and find it on your website easily, assuming you make the navigation there good. Now, the other problem with having too many links in your bio is people end up clicking on low value links. So let's take the example of a consultant or someone that charges by the hour, whether they're a personal trainer, whether they're a service provider, something like that that charges by the hour. And they have a link in their bio for people to book a free sort of discovery session, which sort of turns into a sales call. If they know for every 10 people that click on a link and go to book a call, maybe 5 of them end up booking the call, maybe 3 of them show up, and maybe 1 of them purchases, and they spend $500. This person then knows for every 10 clicks on their booking link, they're going to make about $500. On the other hand, they might have put a link in their bio to a random product that they mentioned 10 reels ago, and it's an affiliate link, and for every person that purchases, they get $1. But it takes 5 people clicking on it to generate that $1. Every click going to that link is worth 20 cents compared to the main one being $50. You don't want people clicking on that random affiliate link. You want them going to your booking link. You want to find whatever the most useful, valuable links are for your business and put those 3 or 4 in your bio and forget about the rest. You can either use Instagram's built-in bio link tool, or you can use a third-party tool such as Linktree. Now, fifth, we are looking at your following. Now, I know this comes across very vain, but it does look spammy when you are following thousands and thousands of people, especially when you've got a small following. Because I doubt there are thousands of people you genuinely connect with or care about following or are interested in seeing the content of. And so it just looks bad for no real benefit. So what you want to do is just slowly clear out your following. Don't unfollow all of these people straight away, because if Instagram see that you've unfollowed 1,000 people in a day, it'll look like you're a bot and they hate this. So go through and get rid of 20 or 30 people and do that once a day for the next month or so until you're back down to a reasonable number. And I'm not saying to unfollow your best mate because it's your business account. I'm just saying unfollow people that you've got no interest in seeing or you aren't connected to. Now 6, we've got your highlights. Now we essentially want to apply the same logic here as we do with your link in bio. You want to have a handful of these that are important to your business or to your profile. I feel like the classic example of this is people have a highlight for every holiday that they've been on, and so they end up having 20 different highlights of all these different holidays and trips that they've been on, and then buried in there is some stuff about their business. So we want to strip it back to the basics and essentially go over, explain who you are, what you do, some social proof / why people should trust you, and then some way for people to get in contact with you or buy from you. And you could also have an extra one that's a little bit random to build trust, a Q&A that you might have run, or if you did a recent event that you want to showcase, go for it. But don't have 20 highlights, because again, people will go to ones that are not really that valuable instead of going to ones that are actually important. 7th, we've got your actual grid. Now, you don't have to do anything too fancy here, but you want to make sure there's some element of consistency and brand to your feed, regardless of whether it's YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. Just have consistent colors, consistent fonts, and a bit of a consistent look to things. You don't have to go over the top. You can if you want, but I know it becomes just another thing that people have to think about. Make sure it looks consistent. Now, by this point in the video, you should have a good looking profile image, a clean username, a bio that clearly explains who your content, who your business is for, why they should pay attention, and where they can get more, story highlights and links in your bio which have a purpose, and then a feed that complements it all. This will take you 20 to 30 minutes to set up and will allow you to gain followers and leads a lot more efficiently, which means when you do put effort into posting content, trying to grow your audience, running ads, getting promotions, having shout outs, getting featured on a podcast that then drives a ton of traffic back to your business, you will convert more of those people into followers and leads, and it makes everything run better. Hopefully this helps, but if you're still struggling, drop your username in the comments and I will go through and take a look and give you some quick thoughts, whether you've already applied this or you're yet to do so. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.